sexuality into the equation has to do with anything. And quite frankly, I don't care for that kind of camel shaming.
Camel shaming, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a nice slutty ass camel.
This is in Johnson City, Tennessee, which is very far east Tennessee. You're almost.
I've been there before.
Have
I've
you?
done comedy there back in the day.
They're almost. It's almost to North Carolina. Yeah. It's not far from a handful of years ago. My wife's cousin was going to Appalachian State University, which is in Boone, in North Carolina. We went to go see him, and we were the old people getting just hammered at the college bar. But Johnson City is not that far away, and there's a place called the Pumpkin Barn. You know, all kinds of petting zoos everywhere. You know, there's a place trying to make some money. They got some animals on the thing, so they put some fences up. And camel got loose and killed two people. Cops were getting calls of a loose camel, and they showed up and
How did they kill people?
I don't know. They found two people unconscious on the ground, and they succumbed to their injuries, is what it says. The animal then charged a patrol car and the deputies, and they had to put the camel down.
It's coming right for me.
Yeah.
Poundcake, where were you on that one? Oh, he's a winner in.
Mm. Why? What happened to him?
That's a South Park reference.
The victims, Bobby Matheny, 42, of Ridgely, Tennessee, and Tommy Gunn, 67, of Obion, Tennessee.
Man, he's that old now? I remember when he fought Rocky.
Tommy Gunn. Yeah. He was HIV positive, right?
The guy that played
in
him?
real life.
Yeah.
Tommy Morrison. So, yeah, again, I don't know. You would certainly think that a camel couldn't sneak up on you. But, and again, I didn't know that. But this just goes to show you, too, for people who are anti-petting zoo, this goes to show you that if an animal has even the slightest opportunity to leave, they'll try to get the hell out of there. You know, my friend whose cat was eaten by a coyote. I mentioned this when Mary was talking about her cat. I'm like, do these animals really, really want to be with you? Do they? If any time there's a crack in a window or a door and they slip out, that should tell you something. Like if I have an open door at my house, my dog won't go running out that door. She wants to hang out.
Well,
she got a good life. Yeah. Cats, they don't know what the hell's going on. Maybe they hear the call of the wild.
I think it depends on the cat, too.
It probably does, but there are a lot of stories of cats getting out.
Getting out, yeah. Mary always says that her cat doesn't dart for the door. A door darter.
So, R.I.P. to those people who just wanted to go out and have a fun day at the petting zoo in eastern Tennessee, about 100 miles outside Memphis. And they met an untimely end under the hump of a camel. Now, I don't want to... It gives me no pleasure to tell you that this happened on a Wednesday. But it did.
Why did that? I snorted on that.
But it did.
It did.
Yes. So
I picture the camel commercial where he's going around, hey, it's hump day, and then all of a sudden cops are like, there's a camel, and just shooting him. He's like, I was just celebrating hump day.
That's right.
I wasn't trying to kill anybody. That was a different camel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
Ronnie, how happy are folks who save hundreds of dollars switching diapers?
Ow. Day!
Get happy.
Mm-hmm. Hump day! So, those two people, in fact, killed by runaway camels.
Man. Imagine having to explain that. Like, what happened to...
Mommy, what happened to Grandpa?
Well...
I hope the two weren't... I wonder if they were related. Imagine if you lose two family members to a camel.
That's the craziest thing to just be like, yeah, so Grandma and Grandpa died. Oh no, what was it? Did they get coronavirus? No, they got trampled by a camel.
I mean, listen, it's not the worst story you could tell. I mean, it's a story.
It's a story.
Any of those weird, like the guy that was killed because he was in a porta potty. It's a wild story to tell. I mean, the person is dead, and if you're in their family, it's terrible. I was reading about, I'm morbidly curious about anytime I see a freak accident story. If I see the words freak and accident right next to each other, I click right on it. And there was a guy he was a firefighter, but he was picking up some extra cash, working for a landscaping service, and he was hosing off mud mats. You know the mats they put in when they've got like machines that they need to get out of the dirt or something? They'll put them under the treads or the wheels or whatever, and they can be very, very heavy. And this guy had a huge stack of mud mats, and he was hosing them off for this landscaping company. They were in the back of a truck, and they were piled up, and something happened, and they all fell off. They all slid onto him.
And that killed him.
He was crushed immediately.
That's insane.
And they tried... They tried to help him, but they were not able to. So it's what,
Was his name also Matt?
Not as I recall. No, I don't recall his name being Matt. But those kinds of stories, well, honey, Grandpa was old, and that camel, I guess I don't know. I don't know what happened. Alan, you guys saw Drew Barrymore in Cold Cream at the Rock Hall inductions.
Yeah.
We did, yeah. Drew Barrymore came out to induct the Go-Go's.
I didn't know if it was Pons or not, though.
Yeah, I don't know if she was showing brand loyalty that night, but she did put Cold Cream on her face. If you were there or you saw it on HBO, that was her homage to the Go-Go's, who, of course, I think did an album cover in full on Cold Cream.
Yeah.
There you go.
God, they were great that night. That was fun.
Yeah.
Todd Barry, I worked with him a few weeks later, and he's kind of friends with the bass player. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was pretty cool.
What's her name? Gina Schock?
Yeah.
Is that the bass player for the Go-Go's?
So, right?
Yeah.
She's the one with the great rack and then like the spiky hair. Or am I thinking of the other one?
I think you're thinking of Jane Wheedlin, who's got the short hair.
Yeah, that's her.
Jane Wheedlin was always the one that I
was friends with.
Yeah, she's super cute.
Super cute.
Yep. Everybody always focused on Belinda Carlisle because she had a lot of baby fat, but I always thought Jane Wheedlin was dynamite. And they all look good. Belinda Carlisle's had no small amount of work done over the years, but, I was a little... I have to admit being a little taken aback at the Rock Hall inductions when the Go-Go's were playing. It was cool to see them. I'm a fan.
It was cool because it was like a bunch of moms playing.
It was like if you saw your aunts who knew how to play instruments get up at a wedding and do some tunes. That was exactly what it was. Yes.
Yeah.
No, they were great.
They were great. But
they're professional musicians.
It's not something like we're so used to seeing old men, but we don't see a lot. Like there's not a band like the Go-Go's. Like there's not really.
That's a good point. You see a lot of old guys. You don't see female bands that have aged. Yeah.
And they also, some of them were going for more of a rock style, and some of them were just like, I'm gonna lean into my mom vibes.
It's also got to be weird too when the time comes around. If you're fortunate enough, if that's what you consider it, but I think so. If you're fortunate enough to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where maybe you are kind of out of music. But then everybody's talking about you again, and you're going to go and get inducted, and then you're going to perform, and then you go, well, everybody's paying attention to us again, so let's write some songs. That would be kind of strange, too.
Yeah.
Because some of those, like Jane Wheedlin's still in music, Belinda Carlisle still does stuff. I don't know if that's true of all those women. But it would be weird if, like, you were a mom now.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we're going to do a new album. They go, okay.
Poppy rock music.
Yeah. Gina Schock is the Go-Go's drummer.
Okay.
But Jane Wheedlin is the one we were thinking of, I think.
Yeah, Jane Wheedlin.
Yeah.
I've had a crush on her since she was in Bill and Ted's. So I didn't even know who she was, but she played Joan of Arc, I think.
Yep. Between Jane Wheedlin and Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles, holy smokes.
Well, I need to look. Susanna Hoffs?
She's married to Jay Roach, who's the guy who directed all the Austin Powers movies. But she is cute. She's got kind of a Marissa Tomei vibe. But when she would do those Bangles videos, she was front and center, and you were like, holy Moses.
Yeah, she can get it.
Cutie. There's a guy who's, it's not a brand new story, but this guy worked his way back into, somebody wrote an article on him about a guy who cashed out 25 years of working in the financial sector, and now he's lived on a cruise ship for 20 years. And a lot of people rightly pointing out that you would have to already have a ton of money to do this. But this guy named Mario Salcido, I also assume he is not married, and I also assume he has no children. But he calls himself the happiest guy in the world because he's lived on a cruise ship for 2 decades.
That's insane. I think he would get land sick.
It doesn't sound like he ever gets off the ship.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine you step foot on solid ground for like the first time in 20 years.
But I mean, a cruise ship isn't rocking. I mean, you
can feel it.
Have you been on a cruise ship?
Yes.
And you felt it?
Yes.
Because I've been on multiple times. I didn't feel it.
If you get a suite like mine, which is near the bottom, yes, you can feel.
If you're in steerage, you feel it.
I can feel the fish brushing up against the boat, homie.
Wouldn't you feel it less the lower you were? You'd feel it more when you were higher.
Well,
if you're up in a tall building, you'll feel it sway. If you're down on the ground floor, you won't.
My brother and I had bunk beds, and when I would sleep, it's not like it was like super noticeable, but it almost feels like you're dizzy, like you're lightheaded.
Yeah, okay. So when you're saying when he walks off the ship, he'd be like, whoa!
Yeah. He got to
get his land legs. Yeah, right. So other than quarantine, because the cruise ships weren't out, so other than when COVID was happening, this guy has lived on a cruise ship for 20 years. The ship crews call him Super Mario. And he's been on board the Enchantment of the Seas. People come here for vacation. I don't. I come here to live my life, he says. He worked in financial industry for a long, long time. And he said, I don't have to worry about a mortgage. I don't have to worry about regular bills. I'm around people my age. When we dock at ports of call, I don't get off. I would think that would be real boring. I mean, I've been on a couple of different cruises, and boy,
but
3 or 4 days is enough. Yeah?
He's having a good time.
People come here for vacation. I don't. I come here to live my life. Adopting a cruise ship life is basically escaping from reality. You are basically exiting the world as you know it on land, and you're saying, I don't want to be a part of that anymore. I want to create my own little world, and I want to be away from all the issues that come up with living on land. And how you create that reality is really a very personal decision.
Boy, something terrible
really
has happened to that guy.
Thing. It is such a great,
Something terrible has happened to that person. I want to create my own world in a floating hotel.
What would your world be? What would you have all the money that you need, and you can create your own world. This guy chooses cruise ships. What would yours be?
Mine would not be that extreme. I would not be out there on a cruise ship.
And this is a scenario where it's just you. You don't have kids or a wife or anything like that. You're just living every day, almost like a Groundhog's Day. That's kind of his life.
Right.
I don't know what I'd do. I think I'd.
But you wouldn't be on a cruise ship. You're not talking about.
I wouldn't do a cruise ship, but like I could see myself maybe doing like a resort.
Oh, you mean confining your living to a place?
Yeah, like just.
You don't mean like getting like a penthouse high rise and just staying there like Wayne Manor or something up in the sky, and yeah.
Like where you don't really have an address. You're just living in a place, and you're just a guest there all the time. That's what he is. He's just a guest.
He's
on
a
the
guest.
boats.
But he's got his own thing, and they call these people cruisers. People who, I mean, this guy lives on the boat, but they have people who take cruises so frequently that they practically live.
Just why on
the boat?
Why?
That's what he wanted. He doesn't want to be on the land, doesn't want to pay a mortgage. Listen, when I was working in a hotel, I've told these stories before. Earlier in my career, I was a front desk manager at a hotel in downtown Chicago. And it was like this boutique, small hotel. But the very top floor, we had a guy who lived there. It was a guy named Harry Weiss, who was this very, very well-known, accomplished architect in Chicago. In the early 90s, however, there was a lot of dementia. He was drunk all the time, but he was like local legend in the city. He just happened to live on the top floor of our hotel. So this guy would always be seen padding around the lobby in his slipper. And his, he always looked disheveled. He'd have the newspaper. He was always in his robe. And new hires had to be told, that's Mr. Weiss. You always say hi to him. He was the guy who lived in the hotel.
Man, I'm just trying to...
He died before the hotel closed.
I'm really blown away by that lifestyle where you can get into, like, you're living in a hotel.
That's what Louis Anderson did.
Is it really?
He lived in a hotel in Vegas. He didn't have a house. Yes. He's like, look, room service comes up. They do my laundry. Those are the perks. Yeah, Louis Anderson for like the last, I think, 10 years of his life, maybe longer, lived in a hotel. That was his residence.
It's like the season of Curb where they live in a hotel for a while and Larry loves it.
Yeah.
He would stick with it. And I could do it for a little while, but
I could live in a hotel.
I couldn't do it for 20 years,
if it was just
years,
me,
though.
I could do it.
You could do it for that long?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. It's got to be a good hotel. Like a
XL Inn?
Yeah. At least a residence,
A red roof inn.
Not a red roof. No, I can't do it there. That's depressing. That's really depressing. Because even when they do your laundry, you're like, I don't think it got done right.
Yeah, right. I don't think this is my laundry, for one thing. Hey, Greg. Greg?
Hate the show.
Hey, thanks. What's up?
Hey, so you're talking about cruises. Number one, I just got back from a cruise beginning of February.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. First off, yes, I got sick 3 days out of the 7. And
you got like motion sick, like seasickness?
Seasickness, yes.
Gross.
I get seasick and I have to wear patches, but I knew I was going to be sleepy, so I bought these organic ones that you can drink with, and they didn't work, and I got sick the first 3 days.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
And secondly, there was a lady on our ship that didn't live on that ship, but went from ship to ship to ship, and she claimed that the service was better than living in a house or an apartment. So she had great service, great food, and it was actually cheaper. Plus, she got to go around the world.
Well, yeah, because in a house or an apartment, you don't have service.
Correct.
Like right. So I get that. People are like,
could do it.
I want people to wait on me hand and foot.
Nice. That is a nice thing to have.
If you as a resident get priority, if you're just waiting in line with other cruisers to get your dinner, like that's no good. If you're like,
Yeah, but you get used to it. You're just,
I guess.
I mean, are all cruises, it's not just buffets, right? Or is it all buffets?
What?
Are all cruises buffets?
Like
they
food.
mostly are. I mean, I think there's...
Oh, no.
There's restaurants you can go in.
Okay.
That you can go in and purchase, that it's not part of your package, but you can purchase restaurants, which we did that for a couple of restaurants just because we wanted to, experience a little bit more. But this lady was like, been on a cruise ship, she said, since she retired. She had to be in her 80s. She didn't say how old she was. But she said she's been on a cruise ship since she retired, except for the time that they had it shut down for COVID.
Yeah. I wonder what you do then. I mean, listen, if you're living on a cruise ship, you're a person of means. You're not.
I asked her that. She went to live with her daughter in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, mom's coming off the cruise ship because of COVID. Yeah. Okay. Hey, thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. Jared, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
I went on a cruise probably about 10, 15 years ago, and you're talking about you couldn't feel the waves when you're on it.
Yeah.
And this was right after hurricane season, so the ocean was still churned up.
Oh, yeah.
You could feel that boat come out of the water. It was interesting for sure.
I guess so, right? If it's super choppy, you're going to feel it.
Yeah, it wasn't like you couldn't walk on the ship, but at nighttime you're trying to sleep. If you tried to sleep on your back, forget about it.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember not being able to sleep from the waves. Yeah, it's not like Gilligan's Island, but I mean, I don't remember it being that. Okay, thanks, Jared. I appreciate it. Well, this guy is out there loving life.
We're expecting you.
They're expecting him because he lives there. This was an episode of The Love Boat that had Gloria Vanderbilt on it. Of course, is the late mother of
Gloria Vanderbilt. Oh, Anderson Cooper. Yeah.
I knew Poundcake would know it.
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper. I knew he'd know.
Gave birth to one of the greatest zaddies of all time.
Little did she know, right? He grew up in wealth and privilege. And...
Oh, my goodness. And he's just...
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to take a break here. Jessica Kirsten is going to join us a little bit later on. She's doing the weekend at Hilarities, so we'll catch up with her. 35192. You want to text me for something? You can hit us up at alancoxshow.com, and we'll be back.